Good evening. Welcome to this evening's council meeting for Monday, January 30th, 2017. I'm Mayor Ted Schaefer, and with me this evening are my council colleagues, Councillor Jack Arnold, Councillor Paul Albrecht, Councillor Rudy Storteboom, Councillor Gail Martin, Councillor Val Vandenbroek, Councillor Nathan Pahal. And at the corporate tables, staff tables, will be Darren Light in a minute. He's Director of Corporate Services. We have Paula Cusack, Deputy Corporate Officer, Francis Chung, our Chief Administrative Officer, Gerald Minchuk, Director of Development Services and Economic Development, Rick Baumhoff, Director of Engineering, Parks and Environment, and Kim Hilton, Director of Recreation, Culture and Community Services. And the first item we're dealing with tonight is a public hearing. I have to call this public hearing to order, and it's quite a long little intro, but I have to do that. The public hearing is convened pursuant to Section 464 of the Local Government Act in order to consider the following proposals: Bylaw number 3008, Official Community Plan Bylaw Amendment. Purpose: to amend the official community plan in order to incorporate key recommendations from the recently completed environmentally sensitive areas mapping study, which include revised policies reflecting the ESA mapping study, revised guidelines for ESAs, revised map showing the sensitivity values reflecting the ESA mapping study, and adding a new dedicated map showing fisheries watercourse classification. At this public hearing, the public will be allowed to make representations to council, and all persons present who believe that their interest in property is affected by the proposed bylaw should be given a reasonable opportunity to be heard or to present written submissions respecting matters contained in the amendment. Those of you who wish to speak concerning the proposed bylaw, commence your comments to council by clearly stating your name and address. Then you may give us the benefit of your views concerning the amendment. Members of council may, if they wish, ask questions of you following the presentation. However, the main function of council members this evening is to listen to the views of the public. It is not the function of council at this public hearing to debate the merits of the proposed bylaw with individual citizens. Everyone shall be given a reasonable opportunity to be heard at this meeting. No one will be or should feel discouraged or prevented from making his or her views heard. Any person who wishes to present a written submission to council may do so. All those submissions will be retained by the corporate officer, and copies of the submissions will be available from her on request following the hearing. The bylaw is Bylaw 3008, and I'd like now ask the corporate officer how it was advertised.
Thank you, Mayor Schaefer. It was posted on the City Hall notice board on January 17th and advertised in the Langley Advance on January 19th and 26th.
And pertaining correspondence?
Yes, four pieces of correspondence were received. 3 were in favor and 1 noted concern.
Thank you. I'd now like to ask staff, Mr. Minchuk, to speak to the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Last year, the city completed an environmentally sensitive mapping study. The ESA mapping study comprehensively mapped and classified the city's sensitive ecosystems using contemporary scientific methodologies while advancing recommendations for the protection and enhancement of environmentally sensitive areas. The purpose of the bylaw for council consideration tonight is to incorporate the key recommendations from the ESA mapping study into the city's official community plan. The ESA mapping study benefited from an extensive public consultation process, including a stakeholder consultation with community stewardship groups, a public open house, as well as a presentation at the Parks and Environment Advisory Committee last year. Thank you.
Those in attendance, would you like to come to the mic?
Mr. Mayor, Reese Griffiths is first on the list, please.
Oh, okey-dokey.
Thank you.
Mr. Griffiths, you're first to the mic.
May I seat myself or do I? All right.
Please.
The mic is on. Is that Your Worship and councillors, good evening. I'm here to give a verbal word which could be translated fairly quickly to a printed, documented wording if the city would so like. We had a computer problem at home over the weekend, and we're incommunicado.
Well, the city and you have something in common. We had a problem last week, so carry on.
Yes, so Paula was saying yes. I am here to represent the Langley Field Naturalist Society, the LFN, regarding Bylaw 3008. As an identified stakeholder in the ESA, environmentally sensitive areas, all right, mapping study, which was dated in January of 2016. We are pleased that the City of Langley has incorporated a number of the study's recommendations. I might say there's a great number of recommendations in the study. Incorporating them, some of them at this point in time, into the official community plan, which was dated 2005 originally, right? The rapid growth of the city is a given. We're all very much aware of that. However, we now request that Council will provide the LFN with the opportunity both to review and to comment on future development applications by outside parties that can be seen to have any effect upon any of the environmentally sensitive areas which have been identified in the mapping study, both with those within applications which might be within the ESAs themselves, but also nearby where the effect might be indirect. The LFN would recommend that any application for development within an ESA that is ranked as moderate or high sensitivity, and there are about 4 levels of sensitivity in the report, but the top 2, moderate and high sensitivity, anything that is ranked in an area that is ranked that way should be prohibited and considered as an unacceptable application. Only applications in lesser rated ESAs should be considered, if at all. We hope that such applications within ESAs would receive the attention of a qualified environmental professional, that is bracketed a QEP, at some stage in an application. We also hope that any feedback that LFN would be able to provide, if we were given that opportunity, would also be shared with other stakeholders. The principal other 2 stakeholders are the Langley Environmental Partners Society and the Nikomekel Enhancement Society. And then that we would be able to provide would also be shared, our comments would be shared with them. They would not be just a one-way communication. Any official community plan in a fast-growing municipality becomes subject to many changes, and we all know that. I mean, Willoughby is our prime example locally. And we anticipate that the Langley Field Naturalists will have the opportunity within the community, this community, to take part in any future updating that should occur in the OCP itself. We thank you for this opportunity to provide input about this amendment, number 3008, to the official community plan at this point in time, which is today's date. And my name is, I'm sorry, I failed. Rhys Griffiths, my name is 5219 197A Street, I am speaking on behalf of Robert Pulse, who is the president of the Langley Field Naturalists. He too was unable to come. Normally, either he or Lisa Dreves would have been here. However, there's a meeting down in which they're both required to be at because they're executive members of the Campbell Valley Parks Association. So, anyway, I'm doing my best, and I will be happy to try and confirm this in writing if this would be appropriate.
No, thank you for coming and making the presentation. We like to be an open council, and Ms. Cusack, she has the information that you've given, and if she has a question that she knows where to get a hold of you. She's got your number.
All right.
So, does anybody have any questions of Mr. Griffiths? Okay. To staff, Mr. Griffiths' information will come to you, and for input consideration down the road if required there. Mr. Minchuk?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to clarify, Mr. Griffiths alluded to the term QEP. That's the Qualified Environmental Professional regime that the City of Langley has subscribed to since 2004. We utilize the Qualified Environmental Professional best practices whenever we need to make a determination on any environmentally sensitive watercourse or area within the City of Langley already. And that process is working very well in the city's best interest. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Anyone else in this mad audience out there? Don't all rush up to the mic.
This big audience that we have this evening.
Yes. No? No further questions? No other speakers?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your worship.
Thank you for your presentation. Now I'll have a motion to close public hearing. Councillor Martin, Councillor Vandenbroek. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Okay, the next item is the adoption of the agenda, but I have, I need a mover and a seconder. I need one change, that January 30th, 2017 agenda be adopted as amended, adding 6A, that's the out-of-travel province request, after item 5. Okay, Councillor Martin, Councillor Pahal. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Adoption of the minutes, that the minutes of the regular meeting held on January 16, 2017 be adopted as circulated. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Martin, Councillor Albrecht. All those in favor? It's unanimous 4. Business arising from the public hearing, that's Bylaw 3008. Official Community Plan Amendment, third reading of the bylaw, cited as City of Langley Official Community Plan Bylaw 2005, number 2600, Amendment number 8, 2016, number 3008. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Pahal, Councillor Martin. Any discussion? Councillor Albrecht.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through to Mr. Minchuk. I see that we've got some correspondence from Metro Vancouver and some of our local partners. I was just curious if we had anything from DFO or Ministry of Environment. I know a lot of those, let's say, jurisdictions have changed and under different headings and categories now. So it's hard to make those connections, but I'm wondering what efforts were made in that regard. And I also wanted to ask the question about any future, say, developments in the environmental sensitive areas. And I know that we have a QEP on staff, or not on contract, or someone that we can connect with. But it doesn't preclude us from sending out to our local partners in the community for their thoughts and feedback on any future developments. So if you could answer that, thank you. Thank
you, Mr. Mayor. Through to Councillor Albrecht. The This official community plan amendment required us to broaden our typical scope of consultation. In addition to the Township of Langley, City of Surrey, Metro Vancouver, the Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure, Langley Environmental Partners, Langley Field Naturalists, TransLink, School District Number 35, the Agricultural Land Commission, Kwantlen First Nations, Department of Fisheries and Oceans, and the Nipmuc Enhancement Society all received a copy of the bylaw, and were involved at the outset in the project as we developed the project with our various community stakeholders. So we broadened the scope of consultation. We also extended the period of time to provide their comments to enable their respective staff to review and assess whether or not they had any issues or comments. Council has copies of all correspondence. Metro Vancouver notably made a statement there is no regional concerns with the proposed amendments, which was important for us to receive, recognizing our Metro-Van relations in this matter. With respect to the second part of your question, the City of Langley's environmental program relies upon external, not internal, staff resources to make environmental determinations. The qualified environmental professional is a program orchestrated through the province of British Columbia through the Ministry of Forests, Lands and Natural Resources. And many local governments, beyond simply the City of Langley, subscribe to this program because many local governments are similar to ourselves in not having the in-house expertise. So when a QEP is engaged to make a determination on the environmental sensitivity or value on any given land or project, they have to submit the QEPs have to submit a technical piece of work, respond to a number of technical questions and parameters within the Ministry of Lands, Forests and Natural Resources framework to make a determination. So these determinations are given adequate rigor. A recent change to the provincial process is that in all cases, the province of British Columbia review the QEP submissions, and that's a relatively new change. A new change as a result of an ombudsman report a few years ago that made a recommendation of a more rigorous review. So now QEP reports are reviewed without exception by the province of British Columbia to ensure obviously consistency and uniformity of decision making, and that process is working very well. For the City of Langley's framework, I guess insofar as developing and processing development applications, to fit a community stakeholder in the process would require us to give some consideration how that could fit. Off the top of my head, I can't really see a fit occurring since the QEP does their work within a technical regime without consultation. It's a technical exercise. It's not an exercise that's involving consultation with environmental stakeholders and partners. So to that point, in the process that we have working very well for us, I wouldn't be suggesting at this point in time a fit for community consultation with respect to RAR reports. That's not to suggest that we couldn't submit for information. If that was something that council would like, we could submit the completed RAR reports to these environmental community stakeholders that gives them increased awareness of what's going on affecting the different ESAs within our community for information so they can continue to monitor as they like to do and perhaps offer us some information. But our process doesn't have our development subdivision process doesn't really have a lead into the stakeholders, at least from my perspective. Thank you.
Got all that? Right on. Further? Councillor Bahal.
Thank you. Through the mayor to Mr. Minchuk. I just have 3 questions, so I'm just going to go one at a time. Mr. Griffiths noted just moments ago about how they would be opposed to any development in the moderate to high sensitivity areas, and it's my understanding, and if you could confirm, that our OCP would prohibit development within moderate to high value area if this OCP amendment passed.
The statement of moderate to high, I guess, would be best perhaps responded to in a scenario that we received a development application in a moderate or a high designated ESA. We would rely upon, again, the determination to be made by an independent, qualified environmental professional to make a determination what, if any, relaxation would be granted.
Sure. If you have an opportunity, could you look at section 17.9.2 of the, I don't know if you have the OCP in front of you.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, at your pleasure, I just wanted to add to that. On 17.92 is in the proposed development permit area guidelines.
Okay.
There is a guideline there, development within environmentally sensitive areas ranked moderate to high value is prohibited. So that is in the proposed development permit area guidelines in this OCP amendment bylaw.
Okay, thank you very much. Just a further question. For the minimum authorized setback, which we put in there, now the qualified professional, the recommendations could be to make the area larger or smaller because it would be based on their technical research. So there was a suggestion in one of the comments from the Nickel-Mackle Enhancement Society that it would cause a reduction, but that wouldn't necessarily be the case. Each case, if a developer chose to take advantage of a qualified environmental professional, they're basically leaving it up to them to make the appropriate determination. It's not in my understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong through the mayor, if that's the case, it's not an automatic reduction. It could be an enlargement, or it could be the same as what we've proposed based on that technical report.
That's correct.
Okay. And then the final thing, and I guess to follow up to what Councillor Albrecht said, for the opportunity for Nickel-Mackle Enhancement Society or LEPS or the field naturalist to review one of these technical documents, is that just something that could be made available? And that's pretty much that?
Yeah. Absolutely. We received the referrals from the Ministry of Lands and Forest Resources. It is posted online.
Okay. So that would already be made available, so there's no further action council would have to take to direct that to become available. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Beddoes. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Against? It's unanimous 4. Thank you for the report, Mr. Minchuk. Takes a lot of time to put something like that together. Under the Mayor's report, upcoming meetings, regular council meeting February 6, 2017. Regular council meeting after that is February 20th, 2017. And the first item under A is Metro Vancouver. Councillor Stordeboom.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Metro Vancouver Board of Directors met for the first time in 2017, just this past week. Most of those meetings were associated with different departments who were administrative in nature, with committee appointments, housekeeping, and procedural amendments, as well as receiving reports for information. It is especially noteworthy that the GVRD board has endorsed staff to initiate preliminary discussions with stakeholders about the regulation of residential wood smoke in our region. So that would be fireplaces and wood stoves and the like. Also of particular interest will be the 6th annual regional homeless count that is scheduled for Metro Vancouver from east of Hope to UBC and Bowen Island. The federal government is funding the count, and it's scheduled to happen on March the 7th of this year. Also meeting for the first time this year was the Climate Action Committee when The 2017 event schedule for Metro Vancouver's Emotive Electric Vehicle Outreach Activities calendar was identified, and this provided me an opportunity to promote the Langley Good Times Cruise-In and invite this program to present at our event for their electric cars. Council has received the Metro Chair's update by email. Also, the board and brief report can be expected shortly. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Stordaboom. Next item we have, that's under Library Happenings. Councillor Martin.
Thank you. The Library Happenings, Monday, January the 23rd. Every January, libraries pause on Family Literacy Day to recognize the achievements made in our communities in the wide realm of literacy and to raise awareness of the importance of literacy development in the lives of people from birth to advanced age. This year, City of Langley's celebration took place on Thursday, January the 26th, starting off with a special reading guest, me, at the morning story time, and culminating in a quotable T-shirt painting event at 3:30. Myself attended along with Councillor Albrecht and Stordaboom. There was contests and a library know-how scavenger hunt taking place throughout the day. Wednesday, February the 8th to April the 26th from 3:30 to 4:30 is Reading Buddies. The Reading Buddies program pairs elementary school children with high school students for 45 minutes of reading practice each week. Partners meet on Wednesday after school, and it's for children in grades 1 to 3. Essential Skills for Job Success, Fridays, January the 27th to February the 17th, 10:30 to 1:30. The program runs for 3 hours each week and helps newcomers and Canadian-born adults improve their literacy skill in order to succeed in the workplace. It is free and offered in cooperation with the Langley Literacy Network. Library staff will familiarize participants with library resources and services that relate to literacy and employment. What's in a name? On Thursday, February the 2nd from 6:30 to 8 p.m., genealogical research is one of the most popular and fastest growing hobbies in North America. Would you like to jumpstart your family history research? You can join the library for a workshop directed by expert genealogist Eunice Robinson, who is the Education Chair and Director of the British Columbia Genealogical Society. She'll have a variety of tips and tricks to get your research started. And the Prose Reading and Critique Group is the third Wednesday of each month from 7 p.m. till 8:30. If writing is your passion, this is a gathering for you. Prose writers, new and experienced of almost any genre, will read their work publicly, followed by a group feedback. You can bring your latest composition and meet fellow authors, a partnership of the City of Langley Library and the Langley Writers Guild. And that's the Library Happenings for this week.
Thank you, Councillor Martin. I have one item under the Mayor's report, and that is dealing with the Bryden Park traffic issues. As the viewing audience can recollect maybe that there was a development that came to council and there was a question on the speed limits around the park. I contacted Superintendent Power of the Langley Detachment. So in December of 2016, Superintendent received an email from Rick Baumhoff outlining some concerns with regards to vehicles traveling in excess of the posted speed limit of 30 clicks an hour. The 30 km/h posted limit is valid during the period between dawn to dusk. As it's parked outside this period, the speed limit is 50 kilometers. The file was assigned to the Langley Traffic Unit, and members have attended the area on a number of occasions this past month. On January 9, 2017, members monitored the area on the afternoon and issued 7 violation tickets for speeding. On January 16, 2017, members monitored the area in a marked vehicle and did not record any vehicles going over the speed limit.
Wonder why.
Wonder why. Yes, and this may have been attributed to the presence of a marked police vehicle. On January 17, 2017, members monitored the area and issued 9 tickets. Of 6 were for speeding and 3 were for failing to obey a stop sign. It was at This time, 2 local residents stopped and thanked the members for patrolling the area. Well, a lot of the speeding has happened. I'll read this off. In speaking with the traffic members, and this is from Peter Jadis, who is the second in command at the Langley detachment, state that this area has garnered a lot of attention over the last year, primarily during the time that construction was occurring on 200th Street. This corridor was used as a detour for traffic, and a number of complaints were generated, which resulted in police attendance to the area. So this is from Peter Jadis, and he is the operations officer from the Langley RCMP. So just to give the viewing audience a bit of an update on the concerns, and this council and the city staff did take those concerns seriously and asked the RCMP to look into it. So it's just an update for the audience. Next item we have is bylaws. Bylaw 3012, the Waterworks Regulation Amendment Bylaw, and first, second, and third reading of the bylaw cited as the Waterworks Regulation Bylaw 2004, number 2550, amendment number 19, 2017, number 3012. I need a mover and a seconder.
So moved.
Councillor Storteboom, Councillor Albrecht. Any discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor? Against? It's unanimous 4. Next item is, let's see here now, Bylaw 3013, Sanitary Sewer and Storm Sewer Rates and Regulation Bylaw. First, second, and third reading of the bylaw cited as Sanitary Sewer and Storm Sewer Rates and Regulation Bylaw 2003, number 2494, Amendment number 15, Bylaw 2017, number 3013. I'm mover and seconder. Councillor Martin and Councillor Pahal. Any kind of a discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor? It's unanimous. The next one is an out-of-province training request, and this is by staff person Kim Hilton, that the building maintenance supervisor be authorized to attend the Pacific Northwest Resource Management School, Year 1, to be held February 6th to 10th, 2017 in Port Townsend, Washington, subject to the receipt of the Canadian scholarship from the school. That all expenses be paid in accordance with the city's travel and expense policy. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Pahal, Councillor Martin. Discussion? Councillor Martin.
Thank you. Could you just clarify, it says subject to the receipt of Canadian scholarship from that school, so they're going to go and then they're going to get the scholarship?
No, this was happening simultaneously, writing the report and applying for the scholarship, which we found out that the staff person did receive. So we have essentially received $1,500 US in a scholarship to pay for the cost of the course.
Great, thank you.
That's great. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Against? It's unanimous 4. And the last item we have is some correspondence from the Church of Christ of Latter-day Saints. And any new business, old business, funny business? Need a motion to adjourn. Councillor Arnold, Councillor Storteboom. All those in favor? It's unanimous 4. Thank you very much.